They were all good. They're all strange. They all had Beasley. Now they called Beasley Limey because he came from Liverpool, England. He was a 9-year-old kid. Now you and I probably couldn't tell the difference in their language inflection, but these Aussies, they were all over him. And the Aussies all had strange names, like Bucket Ass Ted Wade. He was so skinny, he had to have a beard to just keep his britches on his hip. He had no butt. And so he's Bucket Ass. Tiny, you can figure that out. This guy came from a cattle farm in Perth out back. He must have weighed close to 300 pounds. He had to ride a draft horse or something. And then Curly, this guy not only had no hair, he had no eyelashes, no eyebrows. So they all had these weird names, but they were all good professional soldiers, and they all looked out for each other. When they call each other mate, they mean mate. I mean, it's a tight brotherhood. The only thing close to it in American terms would be the Brotherhood of the Marine Corps. But anyway, that's the way the Aussies were. And Dasher was a big prankster. One day he comes up to me, we're in the compound, because I had to be careful eating American food because we eat rice, fish, and, that American diet. So I was very careful what I ate the few times I was in the American compound. But Dash comes up to me and he says, Skipper, he says, why don't you eat with me and my mates tonight? Have dinner with me and my mates. So this was it was a big cafeteria. The American NCOs would eat there. The officers, advisors, they would eat there. The Aussies had their own table. And the Air Force bird dogs had their own table. I ate with the Air Force bird dogs because these were the guys that got me everything I needed when I was in trouble, which is a lot of times. So I'm looking, and I said, okay. So I go get my stuff, and I come back to the table. There's one chair there. It's their major's chair. He's back in Saigon staying at Australia House that night. So I sat there, and that was the only chair available. And it was between Tiny and Curly. And Dash was about 3 guys down. He didn't save a chair next to him. So, okay. He just wants me to. So I sit down, and I empty the tray, put my stuff on the table, hand the tray to the Vietnamese gal that does that and works in the kitchen. And take a sip of what we used to call the Strike Sergeant's Panther Piss. It was like Kool-Aid with different flavors in it. That was the drink of the day. Kind of their version of sweet tea, I guess. So I'm looking at the food, and don't dare use any salt, but pass the pepper, please. Nothing. So I said it again. I said, somebody pass me the pepper, please, Everybody ignores me. I look over at Dash, he's got his head down, he's cutting his meat, So I said it one more time. I said, could somebody please pass me the pepper? Tiny looks over and says, no. No. So I look over, and there's a table that's empty over by the window. It's got salt and pepper on it. So I go over there, I grab the salt and the pepper, come back. Before I sat down, I said, gentlemen, before I sit down, while I'm up, is there anything I can get for anybody? And all of a sudden, all this laughter breaks out, and they're cracking up. And then they start passing money around, Vietnamese piastre. What it was Dash was talking to these guys, and he said, I know my lieutenant so well that I can tell what he's going to do anytime something is about to happen. So they said, well, let's do, well, here's what we'll do. We'll invite him to the table, and it will be as rude as we can possibly be. And this guy, we know, has a light trigger and a temper. And he said, he will go crazy. Dad says, no, he won't. Here's what he'll do. And of course, Dash was right. And so, I don't know, Dash won about, $300-400 by just knowing that I wouldn't let him. He just figured out what I do, and I did exactly what he said. But that's the kind of pranks that these guys would pull. But they were one tight brotherhood.